Good morning, everybody. We will present this paper, the two of us. Andre is at my side. He will start with a short introduction to the site in Transjordan, and he will at the end then speak about, give us some methodological reflections. And in between, I will jump in and I will present one figurine as a test case. So we have to go to the very beginning. We were here at the end, what is not okay. Now we come to the beginning and I start here with the first slide. Please, this is Andre.
Thank you. Happy to be here and be received. I will introduce a short introduction of the site. That it's in Central Transjordan. It's a site that it's dated in Iron Age 2. Its main excavation was made by Michelle Davio, that I have to thank her for letting us access to the figurines. What is very typical for this special site is that has a significant number of materials, for example, the figurines. There are 50 clay figurines at the site discovered, which is unusual for a specific site, that it's not a central site. It's considered like being a wayside shrine by the archaeologists. It's possible that it was at the crossroad of different important roads, and it was analyzed using Renfrew criteria of identifying cult. It was identified like a sacred site by using an iconographical perspective. It's in the Central Jordan, as I say. It's also next to the east to the Dead Sea, and it's around the area of ancient Moab. This is an image from the time of excavation. It's also important that we can use the archaeological context with relative care because it was disturbed, and we have to be we were very careful on analyzing the context. This is the distribution of the site of the figurines that were given to us by the archaeologists. The idea that we found some patterns about the distributions, but we took it as a care because there were disturbance of the site. But because we had some access to the database, we can discover some nice distribution patterns. And here are we focused a bit from the 50 figurines that were discovered. We focused much more here in this presentation of the drumming figurines, that Professor Kunziger will focus more on this.
You see here this 25 to 30% of drumming figurines who are in this site recorded. I will show to you the one to the right, on the upper part to the right. The main question, one of the main questions could be, is there a language of dance that we can see in these figurines or in this figurine that I will show you? Because as already mentioned, the archaeological context is heavily disturbed at this site by locals. And so it cannot be, there is no stratigraphy that can be established, and we can work mainly with typology and with our observations. How does the meaning of this figurine, of this one that I will show you, emerge through the expression of its qualities? What are its qualities? You see here a first slide of this figurine to the left. It was connected to a kind of a fronton of architectural model, can be a shrine model, we don't know it precisely, but we have here the back of this figurine and the figurine that you can't see very well, but I will show you better photos of it. It has a size of about 8 centimeters, with the feet that are broken, it would be around 10 centimeters high, this figurine. Here we see it a bit closer. What you can observe now, some details. These are now RTI pictures that I will show you. You see the hairs, they are made with a lot of dots to indicate the curls. then also with some strains that are here on the left side of the face when we look at it. Then you see also on the right arm of the figurine, there are a row of dots to indicate something we don't know what. On the right side, it's the right arm, or the left arm, this is not the case. We see a plain drum and also a kind of a girdle slightly above or below, let's say, below the navel, that is also indicated on the center of the belly. The legs are unfortunately broken. The next slide shows you a bit closer now the drum. You can even also see the fingers of the right hand of this figurine playing or laying on the drum, beating it probably. Then we have again this nice dots on the arm that is, we cannot say what it means. And you see also the girdle. The girdle is not made of lines, what is kind of often in Transjordan, that you see these girdles, there's two lines over the belly, but here it seems that these are kind of small elements that of a jewelry that is still to describe. Here again, we see well the right hand, fingers can be discerned on the drum, and you see also the locks on the forehead of this figurine. Even the ears are well to identify. I think it's the next slide that shows it a bit better. And you see the eyes. The eyes, there you have to have a good view to see them because they are kind of worn. The surface of this figurine is worn, but you can see it when you check it closely. Here you see the right eye of the figurine that is in two parts, and again the hand also on this disc that I would identify with the drum. When we go back now to the whole series of these so-called drumming figurines, they are all in action as it seems. Then you can see those that are where the legs are also preserved. You can see, especially here about in the middle of the photo, that the leg, the relationship between the upper part of the body and the lower part of the body seems to be kind of realistic. This is not in every case. Here we don't see if really the legs are there, but here we can see that there is a relation that is kind of correct, but I put correct in quotation marks. There are other figurines in Transjordan and also in Megiddo, this is the one to the left, that have clearly not the relation between the upper part of the body and the lower part of the body is different. The legs have no importance at all. They are not naked, they are dressed here, and you see simply and only the legs, but the feet with the anklets, but not the legs as such. Here is a model of a heat map, as you can see, and what is clear that the lower part of the body of this figurine here, because below this breakage that is here indicated, there come directly the feet. This we see on another figurine that I will not show here, and you see that the part between the navel and the calves that is in the model figurine here, the L1, L2 is only a bit more than a third of the realistic length. This is also what shows us then the heat map with these points of attention that are extraordinary. Extraordinary is this short part below the navel. Is another type of figurines. The legs are not important. Are they dancers? I have my doubts, but this is still to be checked. We have here also different ways to play the drum. You see to the left side, there is the thumb on the rim of the drum. How you see it also nowadays, people are playing the drum like this, the thumb a bit more to the left and touching the rim from the side, but this is how they could represent it. And then is also another way just to put the hand in the center of the membrane. This is another way to play it. We saw on our figurine now from this side, WT13, we saw it that it is another gesture in the center of the body and not on the left side. Here are some hands, and also compared now how modern players hold the drum with this thumb that holds the drum on one side, and that seems to be indicated also on these other figurines. That is not now our figurine. I move over to my colleague Andrei.
Based on this material evidence, we tried to see what is the best framework or the best approach that can resonate at a theoretical level. And I will present our methods that we are using for this evidence. And it's based on we tried to use the material engagement theory framework developed by Lambros Malafouris is a professor of anthropology and cognitive archaeology from Oxford, that synthesized very in a working method the discoveries from cognitive science, cognitive archaeology, and neuroscience based on the material evidence. And around this framework and around the key terms in this framework, we tried to synthesize our method. He uses the method of extended mind, the idea that the figurines, for example, could be conceived as scaffolding for cognition, that the concepts of things are co-substantial, continuous, and co-extensive parts of the mind in action. And also based on this idea, we have the inactive sign concept, that figurines, for example, are creating a specific experience that triggers an inactive experience. And also, if we take this in account, we have to say that there is the agency. It's a relation between human and material. In fact, that it's triggered and linked by intention in action. In our specific case, figurines were embedded in a cultural environment composed of workshops, and also that dance performance and gesture were embodied in the figurine that were very communicative and had a significant level of meaning. And also, as an active sign, we clarify the distinction between representation and bringing forth, in a way that figurines don't represent goddesses or even dancers. They give they enact a specific experience through their moving and through their use. And also the material agency, in the fact that the figurines were part of a larger ritual, sacred ritual, if we can say, by the way the signification and the value attached to them was triggered in a way by the sharing and by the use in the community. They helped or they maintain a specific social identity. The reconstruction then of a ritual performance, we can say that we could make it by archaeological context involving the association with the assemblage, and how objects and human bodies come together and recreate a lived experience, and also by looking at the distribution of the site and by the gesture and the posture embodied in the figurine, it was like a rememorization through the frame, to the frame and to the frame drum, or to the style of the figurine. That was through the relation of the human imagination, the visual depiction was accentuating, so rhythmic performance. To emphasize more this, we also tried, for example, to integrate deep learning or artificial intelligence to show how even the clay has a specific agency in the relation with humans. In fact, that by taking a methodological approach that to follow the material, we see that the materials, even the clay, has a role in shaping the cognition and how people interact with the clay. And for example, if I go to the next slide,
which one is missing?
No, it's I think it's was this.
Yes.
And by adapting the same technology, for example, of deep learning that detects joints and detects movement, this would help us integrate it in dance performance by seeing the joints and reconstruction of the performance. For example, for our research in our day of this technology, we can detect movement, we can detect also skill, and also because taking into account the cognitive science, how people move touches how people think. And in this way, we can reconstruct or identify and classify specific movements in the past by using new deep learning technologies. Thank you.